An audience of leading local businessmen and women gathered last night to hear the Chief Minister speak about business and politics.
Businesses in Gibraltar are benefiting from the frontier queues, but some are being hit very hard. Less visitors coming to Gibraltar, and that is especially challenging shops that sell luxury goods. So it is a challenge for some businesses and one that we are trying to address with government.
In his 40-minute speech, Fabian Picardo gave a buoyant assessment of Gibraltar's economic performance, while talking through some of the challenges it faces. He spoke of the past, the present and the future, specifically the next 2 years. Looking back, Mr Picardo reflected upon the similarities between Gibraltar in the late 90s and the situation today.
The European Commission considered taking legal action against Spain, but just asked that the checks should become proportionate. Surprise, surprise. Well, their statement 10, 15 years ago and their statements now are enough to turn a nation of Europhiles into Eurosceptics overnight.
He argued there are two main differences between then and now. Firstly, there's now no threat of joint sovereignty or a bilateral process between Spain and the UK. And secondly, unlike the current leader of the opposition, in the late 90s, Joe Bossano backed the then Chief Minister Peter Caruana.
His message was, before they get to him, Peter Caruana, they have to come through me. Let's not allow ourselves to believe that anything is happening in our foreign relations other than the difficulties that we have when a Partido Popular government is in place in Madrid or even closer to us in La Linea.
Our policy is dialogue, 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 but not a dialogue of the death and certainly not a dialogue at any price.
Looking relaxed, Mr Picardo was happy to say he's been in direct contact with the Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne, in the past 2 weeks, discussing the UK's proposed point of consumption tax, which could adversely impact on Gibraltar-based gaming companies.
I've engaged the Chancellor, Mr Osborne, directly on the subject. We are now looking at the detail of this, of what it is that Gibraltar would like to see change. It's not that we're saying that there should be no aspect of UK revenue. It's the structure of the way that the bills and the regulations under the bill in particular are going to be set up that might affect the licensing regime. And I think the GBGA will find that that is something that the UK Exchequer is now ready to listen to.
And in case anyone thought Gibraltar's top politician had forgotten there's an election due in 2 years' time,
we've delivered in 2 years probably the fastest growing economy in Southern Europe. We've grown in GDP from 1.1 billion to 1.26 billion, well on target to achieve 1.65 billion by the next general election. I can confidently tell you that when we get to the next election campaign, I will hold up that document and I will say to you, vision accomplished. Thank you very much.
To an extent, we would expect to hear that from him. He's a politician and he firmly believes in the economic policies that he's adopting. So far, we have had growth, so we hope that he's right.
Quietly optimistic.
Quietly optimistic.
The Chamber is an influential organisation accounting for approximately half of private sector employees on the Rock. In the coming months, it'll be keeping a close eye on the government's progress on its promises to deliver on key business initiatives